Today I'm going to teach you how to crochet these classic cat collars, or I should say pet collars. They're quick, they're easy, and they're super cute on your pet. As you can see, I've done it a bunch of times with different colors and yarns. It's great. You can do a single color collar or a multicolor collar. They are made the exact same way, but for the multicolor collar, you would change out the color of your yarn with each row. There are 3 rows. You can see it better on this one. And it's all triple crochet. So like I said, super easy. In today's video, I'm gonna do a single color collar just to keep it simple, but if making a multicolor collar is something you like to watch me do, let me know in the comments and I guess I'll make another video. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna do my best to keep this all beginner friendly and let's get started. So to start, you're gonna need to measure your pet's neck. Wrigley's neck is around 11.5 inches, give or take with fur. He's kind of a big guy. So this measurement will be the length of your starting chain, which is literally the beginning of the collar, this inside right here, and it's gonna be the length of your collar. So it's literally just a chain, and the amount of chains that you put into this collar will depend on a few things, like the length of your pet's neck, your hook size, your yarn type, and your tension. So you're gonna have to play around a little bit to make sure that the collar is the length that you want. Now make it however long you want. There is just one rule you have to follow. The amount of chains that you put into your foundation chain must be a multiple of 4 plus 1. So you'll take a number, multiply it by 4, and add 1. And to check it, do the opposite. So for example, here are 21 chains. If I subtract 1, that's 20 chains. And if I divide 20 by 4, that equals 5, and it's a whole number. So I know that 21 chains will work for this project, except probably not because this is way too small, maybe a teeny kitten, but you get the point. So if you follow that rule that you do a multiple of 4 plus 1, everything in the pattern should work out smoothly. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so I have my yarn, my 4mm hook, and a stitch marker, which I don't normally use when making the collars, but I thought it would be helpful for showing you my stitches in this tutorial, so we got one today. So I'm gonna start by making a slip knot to make my foundation chain. And I kind of tested it out before, and about 60 chains came out to be about 11.5 inches, which is Wrigley's neck size. And 60 is a multiple of 4. So I think it's 4 times 15 equals 60. So I'll know that works, but I'll also have to add 1. So we're gonna chain 61. 1, 2, 3, 59, 60, 61. There we go, my 61 chains. Now let's measure it to make sure it'll be a fit for Wrigley. Like I said, his neck was about 11.5 inches. Will it fit? Yeah, you see it on screen still. So there we go, and it's about 11.5 inches, so that's perfect. We got our 61 chains, and you'll have whatever length you're making yours. Hey guys, quick note from the future. Spoiler alert, it was not perfect. It came out super cute, but ended up being a little bit too long. So when we measured the chain, it came out to just over 11 inches, like you saw. But when I measure the collar now, it's closer to a bit over 12. So here's what happened. When I was making my foundation chain, I was holding my tension super tight, which I tend to do on video, so I should have known better. And the foundation chain ended up being super tight. So when I went to add my first row of stitches, it ended up stretching out the chain, making it a little bit longer. So if you suspect that your tension is too tight on your foundation chain, after the first row, you can measure the length of your collar. And if it's too long, you can either undo it and take out 4 stitches from the chain to keep it as a multiple of 4 plus 1, or you can just leave it and make a collar that's a little bit too big. It doesn't need to be perfect, and you can always overlap the front if you need to. Okay, thought I should point this out, and I hope it helps. Let's get back into making the collar. Okay, so in my last chain, my 61st chain, I am going to mark it just so we can see where it is in a second. You don't need to do this, but if it's helpful for you, you can. So mark your last chain if you want. Mine was my 61st, as you know, yours might be different. And then I'm actually gonna add 3 more chains. 1, 2, 3. Now this could count as my first stitch. It technically should be 4 because we're doing treble crochets, but I'm not counting it as our first stitch. I'm just kind of doing it to give us some height for the rest of the row that's about to come. So we're gonna actually be ignoring those 3 chains we made. So our next row is gonna be all triple or treble crochets into each stitch. I kind of switch off what I say, but triple and treble crochet is the same thing. And we are going to be working into that last chain from our foundation chain. For me, it was chain 61, the one I have marked. And I'm gonna do a treble crochet. So I'm going to yarn over twice and into that same stitch that we marked, or chain that we marked, yarn over, pull through. I have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over through the first 2, yarn over through the next 2, yarn over through the last 2. And there we go. We have that first treble crochet and that chain 3 that we're ignoring. Now we need to do our next treble crochet into the following chain. So we just worked out of this one, now we're going to the next one. So I'll show you again. Yarn over, into the next chain. See, we have this one marked. I'm going into the next one. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over through the first 2. Yarn over through the next 2. Yarn over through the last 2. I'll show you one more time. Yarn over twice, into the next chain. Yarn over, pull through. 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over through the first 2, yarn over through the next 2, yarn over through the last 2. There we go, we have 3 treble crochets. You're going to continue working a treble crochet into each stitch all the way down the chain. I'm gonna jump ahead, but keep doing a single crochet into each one, and I'll see you at the end. All right, I'm back and I'm finishing up my last treble crochet of the round. I should have 61 treble crochets plus that chain 3 from the beginning that we're ignoring. But apart from that, 61 treble crochets or whatever number you have. It should match your foundation chain. Okay, so now we're ready for row 2. And this is where you would switch out your color if you're doing a multicolor collar, but we're not. So we are going to chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and turn. So this chain 4 is actually gonna count as our first stitch this time. This whole row is going to be 2 treble crochets into the same stitch for every other stitch. So like I said, this chain 4 counts as our first stitch. So this would be our first treble crochet coming out of our first stitch. So we need to put 1 more into that same stitch. Okay, so yarn over twice for our treble crochet into the first stitch right here that our chain is coming out of. Yarn over, pull through, and then finish the treble crochet through 2, through 2, through 2. And there is our treble crochet. So we have 2 treble crochets, because this chain counts as 1, coming out of our first stitch. Now we need to do our next set. So like I said, every other stitch. So we're gonna skip this next stitch right here and work into the following one. So yarn over, skip a stitch, treble crochet into the following one. We got 1 to that stitch. Now I need to put a second one. So yarn over twice, yarn over, pull through 2, through 2, through 2. There we go. Now we have 2 treble crochets coming out of that stitch right there. And just keep repeating this. So yarn over twice for a treble crochet. We're gonna skip this stitch right here and go into the following stitch. We have 1, we need to do a set of 2 into that same stitch. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you kind of see our pattern. We have 2 treble crochets into the same stitch for every other stitch. So we're always skipping 1. So one more time, I guess, yarn over twice for a treble crochet, skipping this stitch right here, working into the following stitch, pull through 2, through 2, through 2. That's 1 treble crochet into that stitch, but we need to do 2. So yarn over twice into that same stitch. I went kind of quick, but they're in the same spot. See? And I'm just gonna keep repeating this all the way down. So skip a stitch, 2 into here, skip a stitch, 2 into here, and just keep repeating this. And I'm gonna turn the camera off, but I'll see you at the end. Okay, so I am finishing up row 2, and you can see I have 2 stitches left. And then right here is that chain 3 from the beginning. Like I said, I don't like working out of the chains, so we are ignoring it. So I just did a set of 2 treble crochets into this stitch. I'm gonna skip this next stitch and then work into the last stitch, doing 2 treble crochets. Now you wanna make sure that your last stitch that you're ending on this set of treble crochets into the last stitch. If you don't end on a set of treble crochets, double check your work because maybe you missed something. We definitely need to make sure the last stitch has 2 treble crochets to make sure that row 3 will work. So to start row 3, we're gonna chain 1 and turn. Woo! Now, instead of working into the stitches like we've been doing, we are actually going to be working into the spaces between those sets of treble crochets we just made. So you see they'll like make a V. We're going to be going in between that V. So in between the spaces right here. So our first one is actually going to be a single crochet. So it's a little bit stretched out. So our first stitch is going to be a single crochet in between these 2 treble crochets. So I'm going to the space in between, yarn over, pull through, and a single crochet. We are going to start and end this row with a single crochet. I've worked into this first set. Now I'm going to be working into this second set. Make sure that you're actually working into the V's in between the 2 double crochets and not this space that's like in between 2 sets. So we're going in through the V's. You see the bottom here, they're connected. Go through that. Don't do the space in between. Hopefully that's clear. So anyways, into the next set of triple crochets right here, I'm going to do a triple crochet. So yarn over twice into the space right here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through the first 2, yarn over through the next 2, yarn over through the last 2. And there we go, we got our first treble crochet coming out of that V. Now I'm actually going to do a total of 6 treble crochets into that same space. So I just did 1, now I gotta do 5 more. Yarn over, and then into that same space we just worked into. And through 2, through 2, through 2. There's 2. I need to do 3 into that same space. Gotta do another one, 4. 5, 6. There we go. We got 6 treble crochets into that same space right here. And now we need to work into our next set of treble crochets. So this V right here, and I'm just gonna do a slip stitch. So in through the center of the V, yarn over, pull through for a slip stitch. So that kind of brings our set of 6 treble crochets down, and this is how we make the scalloped edges. Let me show you better. So you can see that we're starting this little pattern right here. And that's our first set. We're just gonna keep repeating that all the way down. Okay, so we just did a slip stitch into this V. Now we need to work into our next set, which is right here. And I'm going to do 6 treble crochets for our next set. 1, 2, 3. So there's our first treble crochet of this bundle. Now I need to do 5 more into that same space. So into that same space, yarn over, pull through. I'm gonna do a total of 6 treble crochets into this space, but I'm gonna speed up the camera. 6, there we go. We got 6 treble crochets into that space. So now that we have our bundle of 6, I need to work a slip stitch into this space, the following space, and that kind of brings down the bundle of treble crochets. So just keep repeating this. Now that we have a slip stitch into the next V, I need to do 6 treble crochets, and we just keep following this pattern all the way down. There's 1, 6. All right, I have my 6 treble crochets. You could guess what comes next. I'm going to slip stitch into this V, and then 6 treble crochets into this V, slip stitch, 6 treble crochets, slip stitch, 6 treble crochets, you get it. So just continue doing this all the way down, and I'm gonna jump ahead, but I'll see you before we finish the last bundle. Okay, so I'm finishing up my last bundle of 6 treble crochets. And then I have, it's hard to tell at the end, but I have 1 V left that I need to work out of. Instead of doing a slip stitch into the last one, we're gonna do a single crochet. So into that space, do a single crochet. There we go. And then to end it off, I do a slip stitch. And then I'm going to cut my yarn and pull the yarn through, and then, I don't know what that was. And then pull it tight to kind of knot it, make sure it stays safe. And there we go. We have our cute little collar. I forgot to take this out though. Probably should have done that a long time ago. Here we go. Their cute little cat collar, or pet collar, sorry. Sorry for people with dogs. I love dogs too. So now I'm gonna grab my needle, and then I'm just gonna kind of weave these loose ends into the collar. So we don't see these long loose ends. Once I feel kind of good about that, I'll trim it. Then I gotta do this one too. There we go, it's nice and clean. Now we're almost done. We just need to finish with the necktie. So there's 2 different ways I like to do it. This one is pretty obvious. I just make a chain that's longer than the collar, and then I kind of weave it through, going over, under, in sets of 2. It's not always perfect, but that's one way you can do it, and you can do it with a different color to make it pop, or you can do it the same color as your original collar. I did it on this one too, but it's just with a subtle different shade of blue, so you can't really see, like on this one with the green and the pink. Or I did it this way with a short little chain in the front, just grabbing or going through a couple of the front treble crochets, and it just kind of pulls it together. See, there's a short one right here. This collar, I did the same thing, but I made it a little bit too long for him. So you can see I kind of like doubled it up right here, so it fits a little bit better. So just make a chain, either long or short, depending how you want to do it. I feel like it's obvious, but I can't end it without making a little chain, because how am I going to put it on Wrigley? So I'm going to make a short chain for this one. So I'm going to start with a slip knot to make a little chain. And then you can just make it however long you want. So let's see, 1, 2, 30. Is that long enough? Can I do a bow with that? We'll go to 40. 40. This is probably more than enough. So I have my chain, I snap it, cut it, snip it, pull it through. And then you could use a needle, but these treble crochets are so big, I just use my fingers. And then that first row of treble crochets, just pull it through here. And then on the other side, kind of make a little gap, and I'll pull it through there. And then I can pull it close. I actually think I made this a little bit too short for a bow. Still works. I have these loose ends though. I'm gonna cut them off. Then from the other end of the chain. There we go. And now I can tie around his neck. Perfect. Now you know how to make this adorable classic pet collar. Hopefully it was an easy video to follow, but if you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comments. I'm here to help. Also, let me know if you make the collar. I'm always curious who tries my patterns. Hopefully your pet will look super cute. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you next time.